Edge Designations, CAIA Level 2, Revision and Exam Program for the 2023 exam cycle. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Russell Jude, and I will be taking you through the CAIA Level 2 Revision and Exam Program. Just by way of introduction, I do want to handle two specific points as we work through this revision and exam video. Point number one, I want to look at it from a point of view of the CAIA exam itself. In other words, what can you expect from the exam? What's coming up? Well, not what's coming up, that we don't know, unfortunately, but what you can expect from the exam, what's the structure of the exam, what's it going to look like, etc. And number two, just to conclude on this particular video, what we as Edge, a prep provider to the CAIA Association, can do to help you get through this particular exam, CAIA Level 2. So let's hop in straight away, and let's first and foremost, as mentioned, have a look at what the exam itself is likely to look like. Well, we see from the get-go, the exam is 4 hours as opposed to what you were probably familiar with for CAIA Level 1. Okay, here again it's two parts, but they're a little bit different. Let's have a look over here. First and foremost, what do we notice? Okay, you've got, I'm gonna call it exam number 1, okay, and then we'll call it exam number 2. Okay, now both of these exams, exam number 1 and exam number 2, both of them are 2-hour exams. Okay, exam number 1, what you'll notice is it's a carbon copy of what you saw in CAIA Level 1. In other words, it is, you've got 2 hours, you've got 120 minutes to answer 100 multiple choice questions. We know this by now, guys. It's 72 seconds a question. Wow, it's quick. But you're used to that by now, because remember, guys, that was carbon copy of what you did in CAIA Level 1. You had, but in CAIA Level 1, you had 2 papers of 2 hours each, of each one being 100 multiple choice questions. Now you've only got 1 paper of 100 multiple choice questions of 2 hours, and that is exam number 1. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about the makeup of that exam, but what's interesting about paper number 1, what we see over here, guys, is that it is made up of 70% of the marks. Yes, it's half the time, the multiple choice section, but it's a disproportionate share of the marks. In other words, it makes up 70% of your exam mark overall. We then move to exam number 2. You take a half an hour or 30-minute break between the various exams. Exam number 1, you write your exam, MCQs, 2 hours, you finish that one up, you take a half an hour break, and you come back for round number 2. Round number 2 is what we call constructed response. Now, we're going to talk more and more about constructed response as we go through this. We've got a couple of videos specifically on constructed response to assist you with how to answer them as opposed to multiple choice. Multiple choice people are more familiar with, and particularly once you hit CAIA Level 2, you've seen multiple choice one time before already in CAIA Level 1, whereas constructed response you may not have seen before. So not the point of this particular video, but we will see it we have recorded many other videos in terms of how to answer constructed response. What's the best approach for that? We will see that as we go forward. This particular video, I just want to talk to you about a little bit about what it is, not so much the approach in answering. Okay, we talk about constructed response. What is this thing called constructed response? What we're going to find, guys, is that in the constructed response exam, yes, it's also 2 hours. And in the constructed response question part of the paper, look at the word, it's a constructed response. A constructed response means you give a constructed response to what is being asked. And in terms of the constructed response paper, what we notice is that there are going to be 3 questions in total. When you talk about 3 questions, not 3 questions, small little questions, there are 3 big-ish questions, and behind each question, okay, of your 3, let's say, for example, we look over here, let's go for question number 1, you are likely to have an A, a B, a C, sometimes even a D. Then you'll have your second question and your third question, and you'd have the same story. Okay, you'd have an A, a part A, a part B, a C, maybe even a D, and same thing for question number 3, A, B, C. We don't know exactly that composition, but I can tell you for sure that within your constructed response questions, they are broken down into A's, B's, and C's. It's not just one big question, of course. Okay, we have a look over here, guys, and I'm going to come back to those in a second. In other words, we've now spoken about 2 exams, exam 1 MCQ, exam 2 constructed response, and what can you find in each of those exams. Okay, now we'll talk about more and more of those as we go. Your exam window for the upcoming exam is in March. There is, of course, guys, I'm sure you all know this by now, there is a September 23 writing as well. Okay, but now we're talking specifically more about the March. Having said that, of course, we do know that there is no difference in syllabus between March and September, all within the same 2023 calendar year. Okay, and the exam window for the 2023 March paper ranges from the 20th of March till the 31st of March 2023. Okay, what I want to do now is just to address the question we asked a little bit earlier. Okay, what goes into each of these papers? Exam session 1 is MCQ and exam session 2 is constructed response. What else do we know? We know that for the multiple choice paper, yes, both papers are 2-hour papers. MCQs as well as the constructed response paper is 2 hours. But what do you notice? That they're not the same weighting. Of your overall mark, 70% goes towards MCQs and 30% towards constructed response. And in order to pass this exam, you need to pass on aggregates. It doesn't make any difference. What CAIA tells us, and this we know conclusively from them, if you get 70% in this exam, you will pass. So by way of example, let's say you did brilliantly in the morning session and you got 100% for the morning paper, or exam session 1, you got 70% for that. Okay, 70% of the total marks. Why? Because you got 100%. You don't even need to show up for paper number 2, if you knew that for sure. Not a good exam strategy, of course, but there we go. So just to illustrate the point that on aggregate you need to pass. You need to make sure that you get out of the total 100%, 70%. Where you get it from makes no difference if you get it from the MCQ section or you add to that from the constructed response section as well. Okay. Now, what else do we know? We know that CAIA Level 2 is comprised of 9 separate topics. Okay, I've given them to you over there. We've got emerging topics, number 1, 2, ethics, regulation, and ESG. Models, number 3. Number 4, institutional asset owners and investment policies. Risk and risk management, number 5. 6 and 7 is methods and access for alternative investments. 8, due diligence and selecting managers, and number 9 is volatility and complex strategies. Okay, we know 2 things. The first thing we know is that when I'm looking at constructed response, we know, remember I said to you a little bit earlier, there are 3 questions. Okay, question number 1 is coming from emerging topics. Question number 2 is coming from ethics, regulation, and ESG. The big question that we've got is, where is the question number 3 coming from? We don't know. Anywhere then between topics 3, starting on modeling, all the way down to volatility and complex strategies, that will be, in terms of constructed response, question number 3. So it's a bit of a wild card. The first 2 we know for sure. The first one is emerging topics. The second one is ethics, regulation, and ESG. And the third one, we don't know where that one's coming from. That could be from anywhere between the remaining topics. Okay. We then carry on and have a look at what we can find in the multiple choice section. Okay. Just to conclude on that point, is that yes, when these first 2 come up in constructed response for 10% each, because remember, there's 3 questions making up 30% of your total mark, 10%, 10%, and where's the third 10% from? anywhere then between the remaining ones. We don't know which one it is. That'll make up the total of the 30% over there. But having said that, when we see that there's been 10% and 10% for topic 1 and 2, emerging topics and ethics, what do we know? They will not be there in the MCQ section at all. So when you write your exam session 1, which is 100 multiple choice questions, what do we know for sure? There will be no emerging topics over there. There will be no ethics, regulation, and ESG. Your 70% relating to multiple choice is going to come from topics 3 all the way through to topics 9. That is where your MCQs come from. And as you can see, they give us a range of between 8 to 12. If you take 10% as an average for those 7 topics, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, that will give you the 70% coming then from MCQs. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the paper. We just summarize it very briefly. We know for sure, and we're really left with only one doubt in our minds or one question as we go through the section. In terms of constructed response, where is the third question coming from? Because the first 2 we know are going to come from topic 1 and topic 2. Where's the third one from? We don't know. Could be anywhere from the remaining topics. So yeah, that's a bit of a challenge. But having said that, when we look at the multiple choice questions, where are those coming from? We know nothing from topic 1 and 2, emerging topics and ethics. Everything then from topics 3 through till topic 9. And that then is the breakdown of and the structure of what your 2 exam sessions will look like. Exam session 1 is going to be MCQs, 2 hours, 120 minutes, 100 multiple choice questions, 72 seconds a question. That's quick. You've got to move. Good news though, guys, for when you come to, once you finish the first paper, exam session 1, and you've done your 100 multiple choice questions, and now you come to exam session number 2, and we continue with constructed response. What do we know for sure? Okay, we know mostly where the topics are, but I can tell you as well, after the crazy rush of the multiple choice questions for paper 1, exam session 1, it's much more gentle in exam session 2. You've got 3 questions to answer. You have more than enough time to be able to answer those without any issues at all. Taking a brief look a little bit further on down here at the various textbooks and chapters that are involved in CAIA Level 2, just to remember, of course, guys, the topic number 1, which is emerging topics, if one was looking to see where that came from, CAIA give us specific readings related to those, and there we go for those readings. The remaining readings, topics 2 through to topic 9, those are all available in the Wiley textbook, topics 2 to topic 9. There are other resources that are available as well to us via CAIA on their website, caia.org, which are very useful, and I've put a few of them for you over there. A lot of guys ask us, to the extent, what do we find in terms of it being useful? The Wiley textbook, do you have to go through the Wiley textbook? Because there are a lot of prep providers out there as well. And of course, the answer is the Wiley textbook is a fantastic resource, okay? But the big question is, do you have to go through it? And the answer is probably not, okay? But of course, always to remember, there's a lot of value added from the textbook. But I always hear from candidates, we've only got 6 weeks left until the exam or a certain time period, and then we've got to say, well, if that's all that you've got left, well, better just to try to use some kind of a summary or summarized notes, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Okay, over the page. Okay, I just want to very briefly just talk about, because a lot of guys ask the question, and we'll just contrast the two. Number 1, I'm going to call it study center. It's not exactly the right word for it. We call it writing your exam at a study center or at an approved center, an approved CAIA center, okay, versus writing your exam on what we call, okay, we will call it online proctoring. Now, what is the difference between these two ways of writing the exam? When we talk over here at an approved study center, an approved study center is where you go and you write your exam. There are, if you look on the CAIA website, there's a whole batch of different study centers where a person can write. You go and look over there, and depending on where you are based, hopefully there will be a study center available that's close enough to you that you can go and write over there. When you go to these study centers, these CAIA approved centers, they give you a computer. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this from CAIA 1. You get your keyboard, you get your computer, you get your little place to work. You check in, you check out, and it's all very professional. They're used to doing this, and it's quite as much as an exam can be, a pleasurable experience. So this one is. Okay. The question is then, what is online proctoring? Online proctoring is where you decide you want to write from home. Okay, so you're at home, you've got your own computer, keyboard, etc., and you choose to write that way. Now, just remember some of the points to consider when you write from home in terms of online proctoring, okay, is that they need to get access to your screen, your computer. They need to get access to your cameras, and they kind of like have to watch you write. You need to clear your room. There could be nothing else in the room, okay, because they need to make sure that obviously nothing's being used. All these kind of things. You need to have a secure internet line when you have online proctoring, otherwise the exam can stop. So there's a lot of practical things that need to happen logistically for online proctoring. And in general, a lot of the candidates find that they far prefer to go and write at a study center because you leave the house, okay, you don't have any challenges within the house, noises, kids, dogs barking, anything like that. It's all quite a clean, sanitary environment at the study center, as opposed to online proctoring. You've got to find yourself a nice clean room, completely cleaned, no books. You've got to have a secure internet line, cameras on you, and it's maybe a little bit pressured for people. So generally people find the study center is the preferred approach. However, having said that, of course you need to have a study center that is within proximity to you. Of course, if you don't, then yes, online proctoring is always an option. We're not by any means saying it's an issue to write via online proctoring. I'm just telling you that on balance the candidates prefer writing at a study center. Okay, a little bit of other information related to your exam. By now you know, guys, Texas Instruments BA2 Plus, or the profession, is the calculator. I haven't put it down, but of course we do know that the HP 12C is also an allowed calculator. The reason we don't put it down is because for the most part, most of the providers don't teach on that. Equations need to be learned by heart. There's a very small little list of equations that are provided to you in the exam. We know this from level 1. Less than 30% of the questions are calculation based. Okay, there we go. CAIA provides a workbook and an online exam. Very useful to do those, guys, to get the exam practiced. We know in terms of the MCQs, you've got A, B's, and C's, and sometimes a D, so 3 or 4 possible answers. And we also know that the pass mark is guaranteed at 70%. It might be lower, but if you get 70%, CAIA says you are guaranteed to pass. Okay, and results are made available within 6 weeks after the exam window closes. So if we just take you back over here, and this particular exam window for March closes 31 March. If you want to know when your results will come out, you just go 31 March, okay, and you add on 6 weeks. And then you will get when your exam results are likely to be made available. Now that you've done CAIA level 2, and now you want to become a CAIA charter holder, so you've passed level 1 and level 2, you've got yourself a bachelor's degree from before you started for the most part, okay, you sign the agreement to abide by the candidate and membership agreement. You provide 2 professional references, and you make sure that you pay your annual subscription or membership fee, and then you can put CAIA behind your name, a very valuable credential that is widely sought after, particularly within the alternative space. Okay, if you look over here, just for those that are interested, I've just included this for you over here as well, which is a much more detailed look at the syllabus. And you can see over here, we take you through all of the topics, and just a little bit of a quick mention over here. Every single one of the topics from topic 2 onwards, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, what you notice is they've all got 5 readings attached to them. Okay, topic 1, emerging topics, is 8 readings altogether. Okay, so there we go. That's a little bit of a look at what you can expect then from your syllabus. Okay, just to go to a bit of a clean page over here, just to have a quick look, and just to let you know, that was the first part of the video where we said what you can expect from a CAIA point of view from this particular exam. Now, let's just have a look from an EDGE designations point of view, what we can offer you to try and help you get through this particular exam. My assumption when I'm putting together this particular video is that we're close enough to exam time, so I'm not going to be showing you all of our constant products that we have, the Zoom sessions, the live sessions, the what we call the full syllabus sessions, because I'm assuming you've gone through that material already. Now you're coming closer to exam time, anywhere 4 to 6 weeks out from your exam, and now you want to get ready for that final push. Okay, so first and foremost, we're just going to provide you with our email web address. It's www.edgedesignations.com. That's our web address. Everything over there is for you. And the product that we like to advertise at this particular point in time is what we call our option number 3 product, which we call the revision, okay, an exam program. And the revision exam program gives you 4 things. Number 1, it gives you a video, okay, revision of the entire syllabus. It's anywhere between, if memory serves, between 16 to 20 hours of video, and it takes you through the entire CAIA level 2 syllabus. Number 2, aligns to that video. We give you a set of notes that's related to that, which the video predominantly talks to the notes, talks you through the notes to get you through that. We then also offer you what we call our formula sheets. Remember, we said a little bit earlier that no formulas are given to you in the exam. You have to learn them by heart. And lastly, we give you 3 full exams. When I talk about 3 full exams, each exam, of course, is 100 MCQs and 3 constructed response questions. And that's our revision exam program. A lot of guys like it closer to exam time, just to get them do a final review of the entire syllabus, and then yes, just to do some practice papers, which is always good. Remember, of course, guys, you've also got access at no charge to the CAIA practice paper on their website, which of course we encourage you strongly to do as well. As you go down our website, we've got other options there as well. Just do take a look, and some of those options are there just a little bit more a la carte. In other words, if you just want exams, if you just want questions or things like that, that of course is available to you as well. This then brings us to a conclusion of this particular revision video. Hopefully you found it useful, if you're still with me at this particular point of the video. Okay, and just to wish everybody the most amount of success as they approach their CAIA level 2 exams and attempt to become a CAIA charter holder. We wish you all the greatest amount of success, and hopefully to see you then on the other side.